Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Testkube Office Hours. Testkube is, if you're new, wait, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble here with the StreamYard thing. Let's start over. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Testkube Office Hours, where we open our virtual office doors to you. I'm Ale. I am the developer advocate at Testkube, and I'm joined by Bruno, Testcube's product leader. Hi, Bruno.
Hello.
To those that are new here and wondering what TestCube is or what this is all about, TestCube is a Kubernetes native testing framework that helps you orchestrate, execute, and display tests and test results for your apps running under Kubernetes. And our office hours are a space dedicated to answering community questions about TestCube, update you on where we're at, what we're doing, where we're headed, and why, and also give you overviews or intros into important features or topics and trends in the testing and Kubernetes space. We really appreciate any comment or question you have at any point. So if you'd also like to hear about a certain topic, don't hesitate to reach out. We will be hosting office hours twice a month. And if you have anything you'd like for us to talk about, feel free to bring it up here in the comments or through our Discord server or our social media. Today, we want to talk about one of the most valuable and nice features from TestCube, and that is that TestCube allows you to run any type of test in Kubernetes. So we will cover the current integrations that we support, how it all really works, and what happens if you need a different framework that's not currently supported or in our integrations. So, Bruno, do you want to say anything before we start?
No, let's start. Seems like a great opportunity to talk about testing. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. So, starting right from the basics or from what we already have, maybe you can tell us which frameworks are currently supported by TestCube right now.
Right now, we support basically the most requested ones. Like our strategy to define and support different testing tools is basically what our users request to run. And the most requested ones are Postman, so we support that one. Cypress, Key6. We have Java-based tools. So if you have things that require Java dependencies, like Rest Assured, or you want to run JMeter, you can run that with Testkube. So we have Maven and Gradle executors, and also one dedicated for JMeter. So you can run that there. We have Artillery. We have one called Zap Proxy for security testing. And so those ones are the ones that come out of the box. We also have SOAP UI, and there's several more. The best way to know which ones are supported is to go to the documentation page, and you see all the test types there listed, and also follow with the examples of how can you just run a test and try it out.
Let me link to the docs so you can check all of the integrations that we currently have. Okay, so besides the ones that are integrated, what happens if I need to run a different framework that is not supported or on this list that you just mentioned?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So there are several ways. You can ask us, for example, to build that, and then every few releases we try to come up with a new executor and add it. Or you can just quickly do it yourself as a user. You can just define an image to run your tests, and that's very quick to do. So we basically come up with two different ways of building those executors. And again, executor is just something that runs your tests with all the dependencies, the container images. And the one that we call custom container executor is the thing that we made to allow people just to define an image and you define that as a CRD on your Kubernetes cluster. You define what is the name. For example, you say, let's say your tests are called, let's say you want to run PyTest, which is a testing tool for Python. You just create an executor called PyTest, and you give an image, a Docker image with Python installed and PyTest as well. You define that, and then that's it. You just need basically an image with those dependencies. And after you do that for yourself, also if you want to contribute it and tell us, hey guys, I just made this awesome executor, and if anybody else wants to use it, feel free. That's very appreciated. Actually, our Key 6 executor was made by the community, and Artillery as well, so and a few others. So we have a lot of contributions that started like that.
Cool. Yes, we're expecting your contributions or just requests if you need any other framework. But so to summarize, you were saying that to use a testing framework that is not currently supported or integrated in Testkube, you can create your own custom container executor and configure it to run any type of test, right?
Yeah, that's the quickest way to do. If you have a more complex use case where you need a lot more logic behind the system, more setup, we also have another way of building executors, which is a more traditional way where you need to actually code. For this one, you don't need to code. You can just define a Docker image, and that's it. And you just need to know how to write the YAML file, which is the thing that is defined on your cluster. For the other, other approach, is you actually need to code. So that's also useful in certain scenarios, but for 90% of the use cases, you don't need to code. You just need to define that image.
And will any framework that I want to integrate work, or do we have any restrictions?
Your framework needs to be able to run inside a container, an image, and most do. We didn't find any framework that is not able to run there. So basically, anything that runs on Kubernetes can also run here. So it basically supports everything.
Cool. So what exactly is happening when a custom executor is being created and when it runs? What exactly is Testkube doing here?
Mm-hmm. So the first step when you create a container executor, you define basically your image. Actually, I can just also show you. Let me see, how can I share my screen?
Okay.
Can you add the screen to the view? I think that's possible. Yeah, awesome. So you define this image here. You see this is an example of a curl test. So a curl is something that makes a HTTP request to a website, for example, is on your terminal. And the example, you define a curl executor. And you just say that the image is curl, a curl image. What this means, like there's a container that has this dependency that you need. Then, when you define a test, you can say that your test is of the type curl container test, right? And you can basically specify the arguments. And then when Testkube is running your test of that type, the only thing it's going to do is it's going to take that image, it's going to schedule your test to run in Kubernetes. So it will talk with the Kubernetes scheduler, and it will leverage the capabilities of Kubernetes to basically parallelize everything. So if you have 1,000 tests that you want to run at the same time, basically those are all Kubernetes shops, and they'll be scheduled in different nodes and parallelized accordingly. So this is very scalable, and so we require minimal configuration, and we just leverage as much Kubernetes as possible.
Cool. So let's say an example. Let's say that I am just a QA tester and I simply want to run some Selenium tests, and there's no Testkube integration, but I don't know how to create it, or if there's a template, or if I need to exclusively need to know how to code or ask someone else to do it for me. How hard is it to do it myself without knowing much about everything? Like, is there a template?
I would advise anyone to follow this page. It's very illustrative on which steps you need to do. just define basically the executor and then the test that will take that image. It's so probably the most challenging part would be only to create that image if not is not already available. But as you can see here, most of the images are already made by somebody else. So probably you can just take an image that's already in Docker or somebody already made it, and you can use it here. For example, for this kernel executor, we are just taking an image that is already created. So nobody's creating this image from scratch. It's I think it's probably the kernel maintainers that create this, for example. So in the case of Selenium, perhaps there's an image made by them that already is able to run tests in Kubernetes.
Okay, nice. And for the scenario in which I would have to program or code, can I use any programming language, or does it have to be Go, or how is that defined, or how can I tell?
So you don't need to code anything that any language that runs that your framework uses because it runs inside a container. There's no issues there, so we support basically everything. But for the example I gave, where if you don't want to go with container executors and you want to, let me see how can I show you this. So if you want to create a more complex executor, you can use our library, which is made for Golang, or you can also use any other language as long as you just follow our API spec, and we follow the Open API definition. So you can see basically our endpoints here that you need to call. So that will also work, but probably the easiest one will be to follow using Golang.
Okay, good to know. And what happens if the custom executor that I create or the custom test type that I want to add, what if I want to contribute it? What's the process for contributing it?
Very straightforward. Open an issue on GitHub and just show us your executor. Send us a message on Discord or email. Just anywhere works. We really appreciate it.
Okay, good. And going back to the example of me being a QA tester and using Selenium or any other framework that's pretty much a scraper, okay? For these frameworks that produce files because they're scraping, where are those files stored, or how can I access the test artifacts when I'm implementing a new test framework?
So we don't, by default, we don't scrap the artifacts because that has a performance impact. So if you don't say anything for us to scrap, Testkube doesn't do that because it needs to set up volumes and needs to spin a pod that is getting that data, and it will make your test a bit slower, right, without a reason. And then so by default, it doesn't do that. If you want to store artifacts, you just need to tell Testkube where those artifacts are. And then what Testkube does is, after the tests are executed, the files will be in let's say a folder somewhere, and Testkube will basically go there and fetch those artifacts and store them in the menu storage. And then you can basically download them using the CLI or using the UI. You can just see your execution and download it very quickly. In this example that I'm showing here on the documentation, you can see there like says artifact requests. You just basically say which folder, what's the path to your files. So basically, what directory are your files being saved on, and then Testkube just see what files are there and just save them for you.
Okay. And how do I? Can you go back and explain how to deploy the testing framework, the custom executor?
Yes. So just go to your Kubernetes cluster and deploy an image, a CRT like this. So this is a YAML file. It defines what your executor is. So it tells what is the name, what is the image that is going to run, the command that is going to run like for every test, And in case if you have a private repository,
Mhm.
you can put here the pool secrets, so the secrets that are needed to access your private registry, and that's it.
And can I do this outside of the terminal, or is it all happening in the terminal, or is it integrated with the UI?
You can also use the UI. The UI also allows you a quick way of creating these executors where you can just quickly try it as well.
Awesome. So to me, it sounds like it's very user friendly and doesn't lock you up to any framework. You don't have to restrict yourself to the types of tests that you don't have to restrict the types of tests that you run, right? But
Yeah.
it's actually Testkube adapting to you. So that's pretty cool. And like Bruno said, we're very happy to take in your contributions if you'd like, or requests on testing frameworks that you'd like to see integrated. Is there like a requirement if I want to have a framework integrated by the team like really bad? What do I need to do? Do I just bring it up on Discord or as a GitHub issue, or how can I bring it up?
Any of those places work well. We usually just ask if you could give us an example of how to test it and how to run a test. For example, if you use a framework that we don't know about yet, how to use it, and we don't use it internally, we may ask you like to provide information about like how are other people going to run it, how can we test it, and we usually like to use all the executors to test Testkube itself. So Testkube is testing itself with its own executors. So any framework that is contributed to us, we also think first, okay, we are going to use this also as our internal processes to test everything. So that's also very important for us.
Yeah, exactly. Our latest release, 1.7, came with a JMeter integration for load testing. So, like Bruno says, we're always looking to get ahead and integrate other testing frameworks for you. And not only that, but like Bruno said too, up until this 1.7 release, to create a custom executor, you had to work everything from the terminal, right? But now you can do it quickly and visually through our UI. So if you want to check it out and play around with how easy it is to create and visualize everything, you can visit our demo that's available on demo.testkube.io. I'm gonna display our link, but you can play around with it. Bruno, do you have anything else to add?
Give us feedback. If you try it, let us know what you think about it, which executors are you using. If you have also any struggle, we take in requests to create executors. So you can also ask us and we can create it for you.
Yeah. I think that's all we have for today. I think we covered all of the frequently asked questions on custom executors. But if you have any more, please leave them in the comments or Discord, or just reach out to us anywhere you can find us on social media. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you give Testkube a try. Tinker with custom executors or our existing integrations. I hope that we've answered some of your questions. If you have any more questions or comments, we love hearing from you. So don't hesitate to ping us on social media, Discord, into Bruno's mailbox, Bruno at cubeshop.io. But yeah, anything else, Bruno?
That's it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, have a great rest of your days wherever you are, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.